everyone. This is Molly from Onward, and today's guest is Mandy. I just realized I can't say your name, Marisak.
Yeah, what was
Marisak Christian, and she has the same brain cancer I have, which is called an anaplastic astrocytoma, which is grade 3 brain cancer, or a baby glioblastoma, as I like to call it. And I know if the hospital people think it's okay if I call it that, that's okay. So I'm staring at you, being weird. So tell everyone a little bit about your diagnosis, when you were diagnosed.
Sure. I was diagnosed in 2011. I was 35 years old. So I'm a 7-year survivor. Yeah, I had been apparently having seizures. I thought a seizure was when you would fall down, and I never had that problem, but I was having problems speaking, hearing. I would get a weird sound in my ears. I couldn't remember things. I couldn't find the right letters or numbers on keyboards, and I couldn't read my screen. And a friend came up and asked me a question one day, and I turned around to answer her, and I didn't even say words, and it didn't make sense at all. And she said, "What's happening?" And I didn't know what was happening. And so from there, I went to a doctor, had my EEG, and one side of the brain was working and the other side was not. And so then he said, "You need an MRI."
MRIs, yeah.
Fun.
That's where the fun is
scary.
found.
That was scary enough, just getting an MRI in a tube. And got a DVD back with pictures of the tumor, which was the size of an egg, and it was pushing on all of my senses.
Which side?
So mine was on my left side.
I like me.
Yep. So it had finally grown so much that it was pressing on my senses a lot. I'd been having, I guess, seizures for 2 years before they found it. I just kept thinking I was tired and felt dizzy, so I would sit down, and but it was happening more and more and more, and finally I couldn't speak my words, and that's really what it. Someone caught me having a seizure, so
Yep.
so that's where it started.
Yep, that's how it started with me too. Was not until you do something crazy or in front of someone,
Exactly.
or you, like me, I fell off that bar stool and hit my head on the ground in public, and it's not until then that, even then, if I had been by myself, I would have thought that I just fainted from like drinking too much coffee or being stressed out. I never would have thought, because one thing, and we were talking about this earlier, is like you assume that people who have brain tumors, that you all have these really bad headaches. No, we didn't.
Never had a headache.
I mean, like besides like a sinus, for me, like a sinus headache or
Right.
something.
I needed to drink some water and I was fine. So yeah, no headaches.
You always assume. I mean, I always did. I didn't know too much about brain cancers myself. I thought that when I just assumed that everyone with a brain cancer, it's all the same brain cancer. It's all a glioblastoma. That's just I don't want to say most popular because nobody wants that, but that's the one people know about. And ours is like a junior flavor, a junior active glioblastoma. Actually, I think technically a glioblastoma is actually a grade 4 astrocytoma. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is actually what it is.
Yeah.
So after you were diagnosed, where were you? Like in what hospital? Like
So I started here at Henry Ford, and wanted a second opinion since I'd never heard of a brain tumor, cancer. Like I don't know what to do. So went to MD Anderson in Houston, Texas. That was amazing. Also, plus we had extra family there. We didn't have anyone here to help, so stayed with family there. Had my surgery. And was only in the hospital for 2.5 days. And which was unbelievable. You don't have any pain in your brain.
That's another thing that I didn't know either. That I thought it would be
There's
just
no
like
nerves.
it really wasn't like for me. Like it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, all things considered.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
The worst part was when they were taking 40 staples out.
Yeah.
One of them got stuck, and she had to get another
Tool.
to get it out of there. That was worse. Yeah, so then done for 4 weeks, and then 6 weeks of radiation, and then 4 weeks off, and then a full year of the chemo pills, the Temodar. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like pretty standard, that treatment for what we have.
Right.
Like that's what they tend to put us all on together.
Yeah.
Same fun part.
Even though it's a pill, I know so many people do chemo. They think it's a pill and they think it's better, and I don't think it's better. It's
You're like,
better.
no, I'm eating it.
Yes.
I'm just eating it like
it's eating my stomach.
and
Like
it's not fun. And I was allergic to mine.
yes, you had to go to the hospital for like 2 days to have yours.
I was the only awake person in that one unit where it's like for people like I think pre-post surgery who are like out of it like completely, and I was like,
And you're just on your phone like, this is boring. Nobody to talk to.
that was so weird, and they're like slow dosing me with it. But yeah, and I didn't know that like chemo for all cancer patients. Like I just always saw like the port or
Right.
whatever. My
Yeah.
mom had a port.
Yeah.
I just thought that was what all chemo is. No, sometimes it's as casual as pills, but you feel pretty horrible.
Yeah, especially as each month got worse and worse and
Yeah.
tired. And I was out of work for 4 months, and then went back to work, and I'm falling asleep at my desk. I'm falling asleep in my car. Like it just literally takes the energy out of you. You can't get rid of it.
And it's funny because I always thought, and I would take off work for 5 days, not realizing that, well, I had to kind of because of my dosing change where I was taking it like every half hour. I was having to take pills, which is not normal for the Temodar, it's actually called temozolomide, I believe that's what it is, but we call it Temodar here. Yeah, I had to take it over a period of hours and hours, and it was a pain. But I would always just take off 5 days, but not realizing that the first couple days were not so bad. It would be like
so bad,
afterward.
Right? Yeah.
Afterward, you feel horrific.
Yeah. And then as you get to 10 months, 11, 12, like there's no start or stop. It's just the whole month is just bad.
You feel horrible. And then when you're done, you still, like my blood work was, I still, as far as I know, and that was like a couple months ago, but I still have some, I think my lymphocytes maybe? I don't know, is that a thing? Is a lymphocyte a thing? Yeah, I think it is. I think that's the one that's really low, so I still have to keep up with that, but.
And the things we have to do, we're always getting checked. Like still go twice a year, and yeah.
When did you start going twice a year for
I
MRIs,
think
right?
that's been I think that's been for 3 years now. But
did you go like quarterly, like
Yeah.
me?
I think I did.
For every 3 months.
I think it was every 2 months for a little while, and every 3, and then every 4, and then finally I was like, can I just do this twice a year? So yeah, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just that I feel like I start to get a little anxious myself when a certain amount of
Yep.
time's gone by, and I'm like, is it coming back yet?
Right.
And that's another thing we were talking about that we have to deal with constantly, and it's hard, I think, for people who are healthy, who don't have this challenge,
Yeah.
to understand
this
it.
little thing right here, just saying, hey, it might be bad. Should I get it checked?
Should I get it checked? Like
Should I get it
anything.
checked early?
And to know that, and people don't like hearing this, but knowing that it is expected to return. People are always like, don't say that. Oh gosh, don't say that. Don't be positive. And I'm like, dude, I'm totally positive. I'm not sad or, like I'm just being realistic. This is supposed to come back no matter what diet I do, no matter what lifestyle or how much praying I do. It is supposed to come back, and being ready for that is not a bad thing. It's just keeping myself ready so that I'm not crushed and falling. Like if, I mean, it might not, but I'm gonna plan. And we were talking about this, like I'm gonna plan for expecting it to return, and I can just be pleasantly surprised each year that it doesn't. And when it returns, we were told that it will come back. We both have the same mutation, I believe. It's called an IDH1 mutation, which is, I guess, a good mutation to have if you have brain cancer, because there's a chance that if yours comes back, it's going to come back either as itself, Anaplastic Astrocytoma, or a glioblastoma. Whereas if you don't have that mutation, it often comes back as glioblastoma. Not, it will come back maybe angrier. Whereas we have a chance of it coming back just as itself again, which is if when it comes back, I hope it comes back as it was before, not an angrier version.
They're coming up with new treatments.
New treatments, yeah.
The hospital is coming, which is amazing. So
Which is amazing to like, and that, you know, and if you saw one on the news, chances are our folks at Henry Ford, they know about it, they're aware of it, and you're not stunning them with, what about what's that virus? The polio virus. Is that a word? I don't know. The polio vaccine. That's like, have you heard about that? Yes. Let me tell you, they've definitely heard about it, and they are with it. Anyway, okay, so now I'm going to go back to some questions that I had already written down.
Yep.
What are your greatest fears related to diagnosis with an astrocytoma? I can skip it.
Fears. Well, like you said, coming back. I'm just terrified. I get a little worried that we'll come back, and what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. Like, you know, you have to just trust your doctors, and that's you know, no one. It's up to you to make decisions, and like being first diagnosed, I just did whatever they did.
Whatever they said
Yes.
is, and then as you
Put
get
your trust in them,
and it's okay. And then as time goes by, you start to go like, oh, maybe, you know, like you start, if you're like me, and I know you're not exact because I'm very public about it and like everywhere talking about it, but like every now and then you'll start to get freaked out, like, gosh, maybe with what my mutation is, and I should have just not done chemo because chemo is going to take away these years from my life, or the radiation is going to cause a new cancer, because it does. You do see that, and it's like
you read too much sometimes.
you read too much, and then you're like, I can't undo what I've already done, and I don't regret it actually. Like, I think every, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to think about, because then once you start spinning down and down,
Sure.
you're like, oh gosh, did I do the wrong thing? Should I just have had the surgery? And then, for me in particular, I don't think I should have. I think I needed to do that because there was still that bit. I mean, everyone has a bit left behind, obviously, but mine was like you can visually see what was left behind. So it was like, I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
So, one of my favorite topics I do like to ask people, and I haven't asked yet, are there any comments that kind of bother you, that people ask, and like, you know, they mean well, but you're like, if anyone could listen to this and or
yeah,
just
like,
know about what you're going
yeah,
through.
a lot of people just say, well, thank goodness you're better now.
Oh yeah,
That's the first thing. Well, thank goodness, and it is good.
Yes, because there are people who aren't doing as well as like we are.
Right. So we are so lucky. Like that, as soon as you start to go down, you have to say,
Always
you know what? I'm so lucky that I have a job. I work full time.
And you can
I'm
still
okay.
do it.
I can do this. And so yeah, when people say, well, you're all better now, and I'm thankful, but like you say, right when you're getting ready for your MRI, you're getting 2 to 3 weeks away, you get very nervous.
You get very scared.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think the hard thing about looking so healthy, which is great, and I'm grateful every day because, you know what, I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer. I watched her decline. I've seen people who aren't able to do what we can do. And I don't remember where I was going with that.
Well, it's just being lucky that we're healthy, or we look
healthy, and we are. I mean, generally, I like to tell
Right.
people I'm actually really quite healthy. I still run, and you are one of the few people that run. She runs with me. I can almost never find people to run with me, and she'll run with me. We're like cancer patients, just running.
And we talk the whole
We talk
time.
the whole time, basically. But yeah.
But no, it's but people don't know what happens in our brain and what you can hide with a smile. When you look at people and you smile, they think you're fine. And
you
then
you're not pale
idea.
and you have hair.
Right.
You're not pale
Except
and
for
you
the
have hair.
places we hide. We have to hide.
And I totally don't want to hide my
areas.
scar. If I thought I would look good with my hair back the way it was post surgery, because you know what, for me, I'm very social, and I love talking about this cancer. I like educating people, and I like people knowing what it's about because I'm learning so much as I go along. But that scar is such a great.
As soon as people ask, I show them.
I want to show them
because mine is a question mark. And
Yeah,
I think
we
it's
both
kind
have.
of cool. So
Yeah, because we both have it in the same region. So
spot,
what they do is they give you you get a question mark like right over your ear, and man, it is the coolest.
Cool.
Like if you want to be considered hardcore. Just be like,
and not only can you see it, but you can feel it.
You can feel the little
hair does not grow right here because the radiation is directly to your head for so long that it came back, and what is there is fuzzy gray hair. That's all that's there.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
And one thing, that's another thing that for people who aren't familiar with brain cancers is that for if you're doing certain chemos, you're not going to go bald.
Right.
You're going to lose hair directly where you have the radiation like focusing in on, I think.
Yes.
So I had the weirdest hair. I had no hair up through here, and I was completely bald behind the ear and like here, and then there was like a stripe of hair.
One strand.
Like just it was so stupid. I'm like, okay, we're gonna buzz this off.
Yeah, it hurt. I took one picture and then but it was finally done. But it was looked like where you would wear a headband and forward. Gone with one tuft right in here.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And then, so another thing that people don't know, I actually think radiation with the chemo was like it's like the chemo. It was not something you felt right away. You're like,
oh no, yeah,
this is fine.
I was tired.
But
as long
always
as there was
tired.
something to do, then I kept up with it.
Besides the fact that my face got really, really fat.
Yeah.
Because the steroids. We all know the steroids. They do make you feel better.
They do.
But
I ate like a horse, and it was delicious.
I was amazed at how much weight I gained and how upset I was over gaining that weight because I've always been a little prone to being chunkier, and I had worked really hard being fit to finally fit into like a size 6 comfortably, and I just was like selfieing all the time, which I still do, but it's different. And then I remember I'm like, oh well, cancer. Everyone gets skinny with cancer,
right? And
no, you will gain 30 pounds in probably like just 8 weeks and not know how that happened. And you're like,
you don't really notice it. I didn't notice it until I looked back at pictures.
Well, I'm a selfie queen, so like I could see it really quickly, and then it was like, oh, but then you're like, okay, this really isn't that important, because ultimately I'm still pretty healthy, except for blood work. Now that's the thing with chemo. You get when you're on the chemo, you get like blood work every week. I was getting them every week, and then I had to get it a lot because I was allergic to the chemo. But then you would see, oh, that's dropping.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna have to delay it.
Were you ever sick? I was never delayed, and they said that's a good thing.
That's really good.
Just keep it moving. But I was on the line, just right on the line, and they would always give me all these treats to eat on my way home. They were just like, eat. You must eat good stuff. So I'm like, okay. Like I didn't know that sometimes things aren't really explained to you either. So this is why we get on our Facebook pages and we ask innocent one question, like, did you guys lose weight? Did you guys gain weight?
Is it normal?
Is this normal? You can say yes. Like yes.
For me, it was. For someone else, this is different. I know that my initial fear was like, I don't know what I'm gonna say right now. I lost it. See, I'm gonna blame the brain cancer. It's the best part about brain cancer. There are some best things.
You just blow it up.
You just make it up. Like, oh, I'm bad at math because I have brain cancer. And people will believe you, except my doctor, like Dr. Snyder or one of the nurses. They're like, I remember Dr. Donfretti, my chemo oncologist, and I was like, oh, this is like, it's in this area, and I never get headaches, and that's a really good, right? She's like, she's like, oh, I'm glad you don't get headaches, but no, it doesn't. That doesn't mean your brain tumor's like better than other brain tumors. Different part of the brain. So, what would you say from this experience of like your diagnosis? Now you're X many years. I know you said 7 years. 7 years without.
It was in April,
7 years without a party. A
Yeah.
reparty? A reparty is a new thing. Without a new
No,
party. Yeah.
no
You know.
seizures. Yeah, I'm still on. Like I'm still on one. I'm on Keppra still.
I'm glad that you're not
Yes.
alone on the Keppra.
You know, I asked, so it's you take that. I take 2 a day. It doesn't hurt if I just miss one, but I tried to go off once. Doctor said try it, and I did, and I had a mini seizure. I knew the whole time I was just getting groceries out of my trunk, and I felt this weirdness come over me, and I was like, this is it right now.
Yeah.
So
Yep, you start taking
I tried to write down what was happening, and I could not read my words.
So
and
that's
done. So that's when I knew it was happening.
Do you find that like actually you get tired a lot easier than you used to?
See, I yes, I get very tired, and I still blame it on other things, but it could still be the brain. I don't know. They're researching for.
There is, and that's the hardest thing too, is not knowing. Not the hardest thing. There's so many hardest things.
Yeah.
But
It's one of those.
one of the things that's hard is not knowing. That's why I'm always messaging my nurses and my doctors, and I'm kind of irritating because I'm just constantly bothering them because I don't. I mean, if anyone in your life has passed away suddenly from a cancer, but something like related to the cancer, but not the cancer itself, you feel kind of like nervous and worried. Like, oh, is this a symptom? Do I have a blood clot? Is the tumor growing right now and I just don't know it? So I'm always like, is this normal? I'm coughing before I go to bed. Do I have a blood clot? Like, I'm anxious a lot. Is this normal? Or when I get tired, I forget things more. Is that the tumor? Is that the cancer? Is that the hole in my brain? Or is that just normal anxiety? Like, I don't know. What have you learned from your experience did I already repeat this question? Because if I repeated it, just pretend I didn't.
Okay, learn.
Or to just share it with a diagnosis.
I mean, again, it's just meeting other people, other symptoms, whether they're different or the same. It's interesting, and I think we're all learning. We learn from our doctors. Our doctors learn from us. Yes, they love. I mean, I feel when you just can talk to your doctors like it's your best friend. I think it's amazing. You can tell them anything, whether they think we're crazy that day or not.
For sure.
It doesn't matter. Like, we're all friends, and it's a huge help. It makes us feel confident. They're good to get some information from us. It's better to ask than hide it, like I did for apparently 2 years.
Or,
don't.
Yeah.
You
Like
know,
2006 was when I know I was having symptoms, and that was however many 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's a long time to have something living up there and just thinking you're fine.
You want to kick yourself later, like, oops, I should have.
And if it just go like I always want to say, just communicate with a doctor, even if it's a general practitioner. If you think there's something bizarre, find someone who.
And even if you have to get an MRI, because they can't talk to you and find out.
Brain tumor.
Right, and when it's the size of an egg, they could have caught it 10, 20 years ago.
No. Well, that's one thing too. I've learned that stuff is now changing, but like when it comes to our actual treatment, stuff hasn't changed like hugely.
Right.
Maybe it's starting to now, hopefully.
Right.
Like they're learning more. But yeah, I always want to tell people, like, go to a good doctor too. And if you're not feeling comfortable with your doctor, find another doctor.
Just get a second opinion, and it
Get a
doesn't hurt. Both of my doctors gave me the same exact thing, which was even better. But it was just the first time you hear it, it's hard to understand. Whatever they're saying, I don't even understand what you're saying.
I almost feel like that first appointment when you are given your diagnosis, you almost need to have like another appointment after like a week or two later,
exactly.
So that you can. Because I don't remember everything people were saying. Because it's so shocking, especially when you think you're a healthy person and then you get this diagnosis and you hear like, and they can't, with what we have, they can't really tell you like how long, because as far as I know, and I could be wrong, it is a diagnosis that is not because it's of the grading and, not staging, but grading.
Yeah.
Like it isn't a good diagnosis. It's not one that like you get fixed from.
Right.
You're not.
Every situation is different.
Yes.
Even if we have the same. Sometimes people have them come back. They
Faster.
said it would be back in 2 years, and it's been 7. So
like, dropping into a pit of despair, like it can happen. Um, let yourself have those feelings where you're like,
Absolutely.
because you're gonna have those moments where like I lost my mom recently, so I get weepy and I get sad and I get scared and I cry and I feel bad for myself and I see all these people with their new children and or these lifestyles, and even when I see someone complaining about something like super stupid to me, it takes all of my strength to like deep breath myself and be like, it's like, okay, they have their own problems, their own journeys, it's not the same thing, but sometimes you just want to be like, why is this making you so angry? Like it's like having a broken pencil or a sinus headache.
Things could be worse.
Things
You
could
just have to
definitely be. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with my own phone and it just like buzzed out to tell me I have like no battery. But it's all right. So, what now is most meaningful to you, and do you think it has changed the path you might be on, or like?
I think I think my big thing. I was always such a quiet person, very shy. I feel like this has kind of brought me out in a way, especially as soon as someone asks me or knows. I'm happy to tell them. If my opinions, I'm not telling them go here, do this. I'm saying you need to check it. Check it now. It's better to check it. I've told my brothers to go check their brains. It's a joke in the family. Get your brains checked anytime someone has a headache, even though I didn't have headaches. It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, because people do often get really bad headaches depending on location.
And yeah, my grandfather had a brain tumor. He passed away before I was born. So, it won't hurt to get things tested before it gets super bad. Like you just don't know.
And if you think it has changed a path you might be on, or given you more focus.
Yeah. Again, just helping other people. If there's any way I can like volunteer, do things like this, spread the word.
Yes, and that's why what we have is more. It's very rare. Which is weird because now I feel like I know tons of brain cancer people. I'm like, oh, it's everywhere.
But when you're searching for our people, we have our Facebook. You've got your setup so we can find people. It's worldwide or just in the state or just here in the city.
And what we have coming up, we have Head for the Cure.
We do.
Benefiting Henry Ford and the collaborative doohickey thingy thing.
Yes.
And that's September 15th.
Yes.
So, and that's a really fun 5K in downtown Detroit on the water.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be there. You'll be there.
It's fun.
Hopefully.
Praying for good weather again like last year.
Last year was beautiful. So hopefully that's it. But yeah, so we're really excited about that. Yeah. Henry Ford benefits, brain cancer patients benefit. And, it's a great location. That's coming up. What else is coming up? No.
I've done one in Texas.
Oh, that's
I've
right.
I've done one in Columbus, Ohio.
Because that's
my hometown.
That's your hometown.
Because I'm a Buckeye. And then
she's a Buckeye.
Yeah, that's right. But
it's all right. I'm not a Wolverine.
That's right.
I'm a Spartan. It's okay.
So yeah, I've done 3 states. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it's going good. Yeah.
So you're still at work right now?
I am.
I mean, not right this second.
No,
obviously.
no.
You're not at work right now. That's an awesome job.
No, but yeah, 5 days a week, regular job. So.
And still kicking.
Keep spirits up. That's right.
I'm like, what now? I'm ready to say more things. I'm looking at your notes here.
No, I've got nothing.
Everything's good. So if you have any questions that you want to ask us about astrocytoma or anything like that, you can find me on Facebook. Ever Onward is my page there. There's also Life is Kitsch on Twitter, and Life is Life is Kitsch on Instagram as well. So yeah, thank you very much for such a great time and talking about brain.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah. lost